well conversation. Today we're going to be a little bit scientific. We always have our nerd who joins us in these kind of conversation, Dr. Anthony Ayayi, who is a research scientist at the African Population and Health Research Center. Today we're speaking about something called U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable, which is when a person's viral load is undetectable and HIV then cannot be transmitted to a partner. But when we say things like this, it's so easy to say, oh, that's interesting. What does this mean? And then we can make mistakes and misperceptions around these matters. But to clarify it is Dr. Anthony Ayayi on the line. Dr. Anthony, is it okay if I call you our in-house nerd here on The Move?
No, that is fine. And thank you for having me. This is such an important conversation. So glad to be here today to join the conversation.
Fantastic. Let's speak about what do we mean around this U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad you are doing this because more people need to be aware of this important scientific discovery. There have been many research that have now confirmed this finding. I remember I was at the AIDS conference was it in Canada? I was in Netherlands here when they presented this research. The whole room, went wow, clapping, and we're super happy that this result is super reassuring. What it basically means is that if someone with HIV uses his or her medication and get to suppress the viral load to a level that is undetectable, it means they cannot transmit the virus to another person. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what it means, and it's such an important findings in that it helps reduce the stigma associated with HIV, knowing because the stigma is driven by the fact that someone might transmit the virus to another person. But now that there is scientific evidence showing that if the viral load is suppressed, you can't transmit it. It helps to allay the fears and the stigma associated with HIV.
There's a very important part of this conversation that many of us might not understand. And of course, this conversation pertains to this. That is the viral load. Many of us don't really understand what it means, how it works. If you're HIV positive, what is your viral load? How does it change?
So essentially, when the human body comes in contact with the virus, it multiplies in the body. And what the drug does is to kill those viruses and reduce them to a level that doesn't rise to the level of disease. So essentially, the antiretroviral helps to kill those viruses. And that's what we mean by viral load. It means the extent of the virus you are carrying in your body. So if you're able to reduce it to the extent that through a laboratory test, they can't detect the virus in your body, then it means you cannot transmit it to anyone. And many of the medications available can help achieve that easily if you use the medication consistently. Mm-hmm. In some of the studies we've done in South Africa, 4 in 5 people on antiretroviral have have low viremia, and quite a number have undetectable viral load. I'll have to check the proportion that has undetectable viral load. Yeah, but it's still quite significant. I think so. If I'm making a guess, I think about 40-50% of the people on medication that have undetectable viral load. But for people that use their medication regularly, most of them have undetectable viral loads.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ayayi, this takes me to a question that maybe someone is thinking about now, saying, okay, does that mean now if I use antiretroviral drugs, it's safe for me to have unprotected sex? How do you navigate that conversation when it reaches to that kind of a question?
I think what's important is to have this conversation with your partner to say, yeah, I may have the virus, but I use my medication very well. and here is my test. The virus is undetectable in my body, and that might reassure your partner, especially if it's a serodiscordant partner or a partner that's not carrying the virus. So with communication, and then with just taking good care of yourself, which includes using your medication very well and achieving viral suppression, but also going to the clinic to test to reaffirm that you are not the virus is undetectable, then there's nothing to worry about in terms of transmitting the virus. It's impossible to transmit the virus. So far, the virus are undetected in your blood.
So how does this work? Because there are a number of people who are on the medication that you have mentioned, the entry, the ARVs that we have here in South Africa and other parts of the continent as well. And if two people who are living with HIV both take their ARVs religiously, why would one of them, one of their viral loads become undetectable and the other not?
Now, there are different stages of the disease as well, and then there are different viruses. So it's important to use the medication very well. But if people default in using the medication at some point, they might develop resistance to a particular drug. So what you would see is that people use drug, but they don't get their virus level to an undetectable level because of the habit in terms of using the drug in the past. But it's important to have those conversations with your doctor to say, I've been faithful to my medication. Can I have my viral load checked? And once it's checked, if it's still not to a level of undetectable, you might discuss other alternative drug options to use with your doctor, because it might just mean that maybe your body is becoming resistant to that particular drug.
Okay.
That might just be the reason.
Yeah. All right. So I think we need to take a break. We'll take the break and we'll come back. Maybe let's look at the different kinds of drugs that exist, because I think you've brought in a new factor that might be new information for some, that, if your body, is resistant to a particular drug, there are other options out there. What are the kinds of options for drug use that are out there? But also we need to deal with the conversations of stigma, because people will learn this information about, you being undetectable, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you've seen me drink my ARVs every day, baby, I am undetectable. And simply because I say it to you, you think maybe that is the right way then that we can continue engaging sexually without protection, because I say I'm undetectable. So how is one actually confirmed to be undetectable, and what are conversations that need to be had thereof? We're speaking to Dr. Anthony Ayayi, and we'll continue this conversation on undetectable equals untransmittable when it comes to HIV.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
We are unpacking what undetectable equals untransmittable really means and how couples are navigating it, but also why knowledge or lack of it still shapes love and lifestyle choices. This is in light of, Monday being World AIDS Day. That's on the 1st of December each and every year. And Dr. Anthony Ayayi, he's our friend here on The Move, research scientist at the African Population and Health Research Center, is helping us understand this a little bit better. You spoke about how medication plays a role in one's viral load, of course, eventually becoming undetectable. But you also mentioned the fact that, one can become resistant to a certain type of medication, which might lead them to not reach that phase of being undetectable. Explain to us the different medications that are out there, especially here on the African continent, and how one becomes resistant and why one would need to change the types of medication they would use for HIV.
And thank you very much. So there are three lines of regimen. So the first line, the second line, and the third line, ART, antiretroviral regimen. And each is used depending on the recommendation of your doctor, obviously. But having carried out some tests to see. But what you do find is for people that have been using the medication over the years and they've not used it consistently, they do develop resistance to a particular line of drug. And it's important to change that drug so that it can achieve maximum effect. So all in all, if you've been using your medication for quite a while and you have your viral load checked and it's still detectable, it's important perhaps also to do resistance tests to know whether your body has developed resistance to that particular drug. And then it's only there and then that the doctor is able to then guide you to the appropriate medication to still achieve the same effects. So again, do not, I'm not sure, the medications are certainly with doctor's prescription. So if there are no medications you can get over the counter, and often they do tests to determine what's the best medication to use. Mm-hmm. So all in all, I would just say that if you're on a first-line drug and you develop resistance, there are still options as second line, and there's even a third line regimen that can be used.
Okay, another question I have in connection with that response is, does undetectable remain undetectable? Because some people might think, I'm undetectable, that means it's always going to stay this way.
No, it's not. You still need to continue to use your medication. The reality is the HIV virus hides so well in the body, and the drug cannot clear it out 100%. So even when it's undetectable, it doesn't mean that the virus has died completely. There might still be a few little one that is undetectable. And if you don't continue to use the medication to attack them, they will reproduce. So the essence of using the drug now is to stop them from the viruses from reproducing. Similar to using pre-exposure prophylaxis as for prevention of HIV. So you are taking the medication in the case that you are exposed, that the virus do not reproduce. So essentially, if you are undetectable, it means that you just need to carry on using your medication. So to allow it to stay that way.
Okay, and I'm glad that you mentioned this because there will probably be a misunderstanding for many. For one to say, if my virus is undetectable, if I cannot spread my HIV because I'm untransmittable, does that mean I don't have HIV anymore? I'm cured. I'm fine now.
No, that's not what it means. I mean, the work around HIV cure continues. We continue to, also the work around vaccine continues. But unfortunately, we still haven't reached that scientific discovery to say now we know the cure for HIV. But what we've done so far over the years is to find ways to stop the virus from reproducing. And that's been a remarkable work in that sense. And that's why if you're undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus.
Okay.
However, it doesn't mean you are cured. You still need to continue.
Sure. That's so important to note that, right? I mean, in terms of considerations when it comes to the fact that we need to emphasize that it's not a cure, how important is that? Because I think you saying that is such an important element to this discussion, so that responsibility that you mentioned earlier of communicating to a partner and also consistency in medication should be a key element in your lifestyle.
No, for sure. I mean, those two are two important ingredients. Communication is key. But also, knowledge is also very important, because it's important that both couples probably go for counseling. That way, you are getting information from an expert who can reassure you. And that's if the word of the partner is not sufficient in persuading the other partner on what U equals to U means. But really, the evidence is clear. It's robust. It's been, there's been research over and over with several thousands of people. And, undetectable means untransmittable. In many of those studies, there was zero transmission. Zero transmission with people that have undetectable virus. And these are studies that were done over a long period of time. So it's an incontrovertible evidence in no shape or form. It's not controvertible. It's clear that if you're undetectable, it's untransmittable. But of course, communication is key. Yeah. But where communication is insufficient, maybe just counseling and just talking to a doctor who is an expert to make this reassurance. But also critical is to continue to use the medication, as that's also needed to ensure that it stays that way. All of these are possible, can be done, because the evidence is clear. There's nothing to hide. You are not hiding anything. You are being transparent in this sense. And the evidence is reassuring.
And in terms of relationships, just as we wrap up, Dr. Ayayi, how should couples navigate the conversation of being undetectable and the kinds of behaviors, especially sexual interactions that they have? How should they change or how should they remain the same with this information in mind?
For me, this information, everyone needs to hear it. I think it's important that people have this knowledge because it helps eliminate the fear and the stigma around the HIV. And it also helps people, it also encourages people to take their medications and get their viral loads undetectable. And if the viral load is undetectable, it has benefit to your own individual health as well. You feel better. You are okay. You understand what I mean? Like it's a good thing. So it fosters positive attitude and behavior in that it encourages use of medication, it encourages healthy behavior and all of that. And it's only when a critical mass of the population are aware of you equals to you that then the stigma level will then automatically decline. So meaning what you are doing now is contributing to that, because a lot of people will listen today and say, oh, okay, now I understand. So the focus now should be on taking medication to ensure that viral loads are undetectable. And if we do that, we will be, in fact, it will contribute to eliminating the virus on the long run, because that's essentially what will happen when everyone is, has their viral load suppressed and undetectable, and they are not transmitting it. It then automatically means that we will the fight against HIV will end, because nobody will be getting the virus anymore. But
sure,
education is really important.
Sure. Yeah. Dr. Ayayi, we have to leave it there. Thank you for this very informative conversation. Thank you for clarifying so many things that at times can be in the blurry lines. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it anytime.
Joining us from Kenya is Dr. Anthony Ayayi, research scientist at the African Population and Health Research Center. What do you think about that one? Is it clarifying things for you? Let us know what you think of that conversation. +27 63406 9126. That's the number to save on your phone, and you can send us a WhatsApp anytime and contribute to the conversation. Say Musibudi is standing by to give us our latest sports update.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Indeed, on standby for the final sport update.